Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. I'm Louis Cypher, and this is the Devil's Advocate Debate Club. Welcome back. It's been a good day. So, today I'd like to have a little bit of fun and talk to you about a completely unsubstantiated and wild rumor that I'm about to start. Just for fun. Let's talk about the idea of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton colluding together to ensure the 2016 election. Picture yourself, if it doesn't discuss you to do so, as Donald Trump at a party sometime in, 2010, anywhere between 2006 and 2012, somewhere in there. You're surrounded by a bunch of your friends, important, influential members of the media and potentially politicians. And hey, the Clintons are there. It's fairly well documented that the Clintons and Trump were, if not friends, at least at parties together on quite a few occasions, and were certainly well acquainted. Now, Trump at the time would have been a Democrat and would have probably, at least outwardly, supported the Democratic Party. Now, there's a clip of him back in the 80s or something talking about running as a Republican well before he was ever a Democrat. But hey, people go back and forth, right? So, the Clintons and Trump start talking at this party. Remember, we're just imagining this. And decide that if they play their cards and their influence right, they can ensure that one of the two of them gets the 2016 election. Now, at this point, we can talk a little bit about the potential deep state. For those of you who aren't familiar with the term, the deep state is a collection of people who are, generally in the CIA or FBI, but are in agencies in and around politics that have influence that go beyond election terms because they're hired, not elected, or when politicians use their influence outside of their time in office because, their influence remains. So if you're running in politics, historically speaking, in the modern era, the presidency is handed back and forth between the Democrats and the Republicans like they're playing catch. And that means if you're Hillary Clinton, while you may argue, it's my turn, on some level, that it's not. But you don't want to see any more fundamentalist, extremist Republicans get into the office and start another war. So you need a moderate Democrat, someone close enough to the middle that they can switch party lines, preferably someone who's done it before, who is influential enough that they can, get into the position of power, but someone who'll work with you on this. And then you see Donald Trump at a party. A man with enough business interests that no one is going to question when he switches back from Democrat to Republican. A man who, by his record so far, while there are some people who will argue this, is likely not going to take us to war outside of maybe a trade one. You're looking at a moderate Republican, someone who's been on both sides of the party line and dangles certain opinions near the middle. Now, he's certainly conservative enough to count as a Republican in this day and age, and is definitely not what the modern Democrats have become. But he's never been that far to either side and has, changed opinions at different times in his political cycle. I mean, if you pay attention to his political opinions through the years before he was a politician. So you have someone who will help moderate the Republican Party, something which Trump has inarguably done on especially progressive issues, getting them to applaud for gay rights, and really being a lot less of a Republican than a lot of his constituents would like. And as Hillary Clinton, you know, just given your background in politics, that if you push for it and use your influence properly, you can get the Democratic side. I mean, if you don't think what happened between Hillary and Bernie was somewhat twisted, and I mean, to be fair, Hillary felt it was her turn because what had happened between her and Obama was similarly shady. But two rights don't make a wrong. And cutting Bernie's chances to make sure that she got the position when a lot of people were saying we needed the best chance to defeat Trump, and given how much of Bernie's support went to Trump when she did this, well, it just seems like an interesting decision. And one that she made right before running one of the most inept campaigns for president that we have ever seen. A campaign so inept that even her supporters assumed that she just thought she had the victory, and that's why she didn't really try. A campaign in which she got ill, didn't campaign in moderate swing states unless they had a high population count, even after she'd been called out on this, and in which her campaign slogan was "Love Trump's hate, blue, white to red." Now, I don't know how much you know about human psychology, but humans tend to catch on to the first part of a sentence and then to forget the last. If you're coloring things, red is a warning color, which means people will pay attention to it so it can call out pieces of text. However, if you're coloring multiple things and have soft colors and warning colors, people will tend to remember the soft colors because, well, their mind shies away from the harsher reds and oranges to a certain degree. This is, a slight psychological edge that intelligent campaigners will use in their campaign slogans, like "Make America Great Again." The word that's most forgettable is "again." So you're basically just saying to people's minds, "Make America Great," which most people can get behind. The "again" is the part that fell into question, and, well, I can go into that on a different day. However, "Love Trump's hate," the part that sticks in your mind, though it's short enough that it's not going to have that much psychological impact, but especially with the blue on one side and the red on the other, is "Love Trump," which means even her campaign slogan was a psychological edge handed to Donald Trump. Now picture yourself back at this party. You're Donald Trump, and Hillary Clinton has just suggested to you that you could run for president, that the two of you could run against each other, and then, hey, one of you is going to get either way, right? And you're like, yeah, but, I need a way to get people behind me. I need a way to get attention. I mean, I've got money. I can advertise. That's expensive. So you look around at all of your friends at the party, in the media, the reporters or editors or whoever else might happen to be at this particular party from the mainstream media outlets that, as Donald Trump, you are notoriously chummy with, looking back a decade or so, that is. And you get an idea of how to get free press. I mean, if a news outlet gives too much coverage to one candidate, there are going to be lots of questions about the, efficacy, unless they're smears. Because if all you're saying is negative, sure, there's no such thing as bad press, right? All press is good press. But if they're smears, you can't be accused of supporting the person that you're smearing, right? So, hundreds of hours, hundreds of millions of dollars of free press later, and up against someone who's basically handing you the presidency with how ineptly they're running their campaign, even though you've got no political background whatsoever, even though half the world considers you a joke, you find yourself, Donald Trump, President of the United States. You find yourself in a position where you have to keep a lot of your friendships on the sly because some of your closest confidants are likely people currently slamming you in the media to keep giving you free press. Even after it's been studied and, if not proven, at least highly suggested that this is how Trump won the election to begin with, it just continues. Even after viewership at CNN and MSNBC plummets because of their obsession, it continues. And Fox, well, as expected, as they're upfront about being a right-leaning outfit, well, they give all the support they can to Trump. But when it starts to get too much, when people are just like, maybe you're pushing a candidate, what do they say? Well, all the other outlets are smearing him. Look at all these horrible smears. Half of them not even remotely true. We have to do what we can to fight it. So what do you end up with? You end up with every news agency in the world, or at least in America, talking about Trump nonstop. I didn't mean to say the world. You've got Hillary Clinton running a terrible campaign, partying anyway when she loses, and basically setting up Trump for victory from the very beginning. And now you have a Democratic Party that's absolutely and entirely split. Why? Well, I think they were expecting the play to be to set up Trump as a crazy Republican candidate, someone that no one would really vote for, so that the Democrats could take the election back to back, something which hasn't been done in a long time. Like I said, the two parties pass it back and forth like a game of catch. But it backfired when he was actually elected. It split their party. Now, Nancy Pelosi's been in politics a long time, and people have been questioning a lot of her motives recently. I think she might be trying to do her best to draw out the socialists in order to expunge them from the party. This could lead to a party split in the Democrats, since honestly about 30% of their support or so, depending on what poll you look at, are people who are basically socialists, which means it might be time for a split in the two-party system. Might be time for America to look at something closer to one of the European models, because, quite honestly, the differing opinions within the Democratic Party are tearing them apart. And it looked like Trump was going to do the same to the Republicans at first. It looked like some of his more moderate views and a couple of the things he wanted to do with trade agreements were going to absolutely, shatter the Republicans into the Trump supporters and the old guard. But then the old guard modernized and moderated just enough to keep up with the party. Something which the new Democrats just can't quite seem to do. But I think that's because a lot of them are just socialists who need to, accept their title and wear it proud if that's what they believe in. So, I think that Hillary Clinton might be a secret Republican, or a secret moderate. That her and Trump might really be independents, whose political faction depends on what's advantageous to them. Look at Hillary's voting record. It's an interesting read if you look at it with a fine-tooth comb and with Trump's current record in mind. And the two of them are definitely known to be friends. So, if as Hillary you want to see the Republican Party strengthened, what do? Well, you destroy the Democrats from the inside out by puppeteering a presidency of a man that they didn't think could win. forcing them to shatter. Now, is she that intelligent or Machiavellian? I don't know. Potentially. I've never actually particularly liked Clinton much. And while I don't have any evidence, given how Trump's many friendships within the media and within the Democrats shattered as soon as he started running as a Republican with very little explanation, when prior to that point the split along party lines was a bit more cordial, people on the either side talked to each other a bit more, but I think the media knew that they had to smear him to give him free press. And hey, maybe that's all just nonsense. I mean, there's certainly never going to be any proof of it. But just picture the two sitting at a party, surrounded by influential members of the media, having a glass of wine, and talking about future elections. Because with all the madness that's been going on, and all the things that, to quote the Chewbacca defense, just don't make sense. They just don't make sense. I don't know. I've seen crazier things in reality. Recently, at an anti-racism event, a group of people were told they weren't allowed to speak or weren't allowed to ask questions because of their color. At an anti-racism event, a group of people were told they couldn't ask questions because of their color. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm using the Chewbacca defense here. If that doesn't make any sense, it makes more sense, and I mean this, it makes more sense that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton colluded to hand the election to Trump, since they knew the Republican candidate was going to win based on the history of elections, and to use it as a device to moderate the Republican Party and to shatter the Democrats. Well, it makes a lot more sense than a lot of what we see going on, well documented in real life. And well, I haven't gone through all the details here, but it's getting a bit long and I'm going to cut it short. Think about it, because I think it's a theory that has merit. But hey, let me know what you think.